Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. Now, just like in 2015, the Independent National Electoral Commission shocked Nigerians when it announced the postponement of the general elections. However, unlike in 2015 when the postponement came 1 week to the elections, this time it came barely hours to the commencement of the election. While Nigerians have been reacting to this postponement, the electoral body has blamed logistics as the reason behind the postponement. And that is what we will be focusing on the program today. But let us first take a look at what made the trends in the social cyberspace in the past week.
Corps members serving in various parts of the country were stranded after INEC announced the postponement of the 2019 general elections. Pictures surfaced online of how they slept in inhumane conditions after the announcement came in the early hours of Saturday. After a lady narrated her molestation ordeal, others followed and started the campaign to end women molestation in northern Nigeria. The campaigners also urged clerics to southern the act in places of worship and also for the prosecution of those involved.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. But joining us to look at the topic of the day, we have Jude Egbas, the editor of Pulse.ng. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Echo postponement. Thanks for having me.
I can imagine. Thanks for joining us again. But we also have joining us on the Google Plus Hangout, Abubakar Mazu from Borno State. That's Maiduguri precisely. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Victor.
Of course, and also Godi Wogu from Prague and Czech Republic. Thanks as well for joining us on the program.
It's always a pleasure to be on the program.
Very well. So let me come back to you to get us started. How reassuring would you say the words of the INEC chairman is in terms of the postponement of the re-election? I mean, talking about the election holding next week.
No, it will hold next week. I'm at least 85% sure of that. After the embarrassment of the postponement on the day of the election, 5 hours before the vote, I thought his statement announcing the postponement was insensitive because it was a 5-paragraph statement that had no apology whatsoever to 190 million people and 84 million registered voters. And he went on about how it was a logistic problem. And he had another opportunity to apologize during the stakeholder meeting. He did not apologize for, he practically scattered a lot of plans yesterday, and I don't think he came out well to actually apologize to Nigerians for what he did.
Yeah, I mean, so that apology, I mean, I understand a lot of people have been, reacting to the apology, but without that, what other thing would you say stood out for you?
I think in terms of what he did?
Yeah, no, in terms of the press conference, in terms of what he said.
Yeah, what he said, one thing I got from what he said was that the ban on campaign stands, even though there's a shift, a 1-week shift, there'll be no campaigns. Another thing is that you cannot collect your PVC if you hadn't collected it before February 16th. So I think those were the things I picked up. The fact that we had a 1-week extension doesn't mean that a few other things that had stopped will continue.
Would continue. Yeah. Well, let me hear from Abubakar Mazu in Maiduguri. Abubakar, let me just get your take. I mean, he's saying that the fact that the INEC chairman stopped, or INEC stopped collection of PVCs and campaigns. Do you think that was a little bit unfair?
Actually, that's not fair to me because it should have been since the election is being postponed. Citizens should be led to collect their PVCs because here in Maiduguri we have a lot of people that have been affected with the issues of insurgency. As a result of that, they have changed their location. As for that, they haven't gotten their own PVCs up to now. And as well, in respect to the campaign and as well the political rallies, if to say these people will be led to conduct these rallies effectively, it will let them to have confidence, voters' confidence, because a lot of people are saying they can't go ahead to conduct the voting because they have been going to their own localities, villages to conduct this exercise. But unfortunately, it was being postponed. So if rallies will not be conducted, or as I can say, a door-to-door campaign, some citizens will just feel reluctant and as well they will not participate in the process of the election.
Oh, very well. So, Godi, I mean, talking about traveling up and down, to conduct the elections, Godi, you are in the diaspora, and the INEC chairman also spoke about, or he gave the assurances about having diaspora voting in the nearest future. How did you feel about that?
Well, it's always welcome, but the thing is that a lot of things are taking too long in Nigeria, and just a little bit of to comment on the points which the guys have already said. I think that I stand with INEC on the point of naturally not extending the collection of the PVC and also not continuing with the campaign because I mean we have to really learn how to manage time and resources in Nigeria. When you give a timeline for something, let it be done with that and not always be shifting the goalpost and giving room for other things. Now, with regards to actually helping the people in diaspora to be able to vote in the next election, it is something which can really be achieved because we are all looking forward to this. A lot of countries already have this in process and implementation. But the challenge there it remains like, look at it at the moment in Nigeria. You cannot vote anywhere you are with your PVC. You have to go and, you have to go to where you were registered because they have not set up the IT infrastructure. They have not set up the possibility for such system to be able to be integrated that you are able to manage some of these things to reduce the stress. So these are the things that I feel like INEC should really look at for and then keep uh, to the possibility of this happening in the next election. It's not a rocket science to make diasporans, vote. We all have our embassies, we on the consulate, you can always go there. INEC prepares this. It's not so difficult. But I think
All right.
INEC needs a lot of things to be done before this 2023 elections.
Very
But
well.
it's always welcome.
I'll come back to you again in a bit, but let me come back to you.